everyone. My name is Christiana, and today I'm here with Juliette Goglia, and we are going to be talking all about her journey, her life, her music, acting, and so much more, and mental health, of course. And I wanted to firstly say, I started Teenage Mental Love because I believe that mental health is so important in today's society and life. With everyone, teenagers is mainly the forefront, but it's everyone. And I feel like, it really needs to be talked about. It really needs to be, promoted as something that is, important in everyone's life. And I feel like not enough people talk about it. And I'm so happy to be here with Julia, and we're going to be talking all about her life, and we're going to be tying it all into mental health. And I really hope you all enjoy this interview, and I will link all of her social media down below. And so we're going to get right into it, and I really hope you guys enjoy. So the first thing I wanted to ask you was, what is your personal goal in life?
Oh my gosh, that's such a big one. I thought we were going to start easy. My personal goal in life? Oh my gosh. I guess, okay, there's this John Lennon quote. He was like in kindergarten. I'm going to butcher it, but he was in kindergarten and he had this assignment that was, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yes.
And he responded, I want to be happy. And the teacher said, you don't understand the assignment. And he responded, you don't understand life. And I really like that that quote. I have it like on a picture in one of my parents' rooms. But I think that there's a lot of emphasis on being happy. And I think that that's really important and great. But I think that's hard to achieve. And it's definitely like a binary that, if you're not happy, then you're failing or something. So I guess my personal goal would be to maintain self-awareness and never cease self-improvement. So I think as long as I'm constantly checking in with myself and trying to become a better version of myself, then I'll be satisfied.
Of course, yeah, and I love that you said satisfied, because it's you didn't even use happy as because like I feel like in life it's so hard almost to say, oh yeah, I'm fully happy or I'm fully content with everything in my life, because there's always something more that we all want to achieve, and there's always like another level or another step that we want to take. And going into like mental health with that, I feel like also social media can have an impact on that, because you see so many people living a life, and you're just like, am I really happy because I don't have that, or am I satisfied with what I have? And I love that you said that, just improving yourself, because that's wonderful, because you're all that you have, if that makes sense.
Right.
But yeah. Exactly. So why are we validating, why are we living a life to please others? Which I absolutely love that you said that, and I love that quote too. That's amazing. And
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it really is. And I wanted to say, with finding happiness and having personal goals, how are you doing with your mental health at this time?
I'm actually doing well. It's definitely been like a journey. I would say the last 7 years have been, probably my mental health journey. And I feel like I'm in a great spot considering. I think right now the world, our country is very, it's tough to get through these days. And I think that I've kind of come to a place within the pandemic, because I've been taking it very seriously. Like haven't seen anyone outside of my family in 7 months, and it's really hard, I think, seeing friends and people that I love outside of my immediate circle not taking the pandemic seriously. It's easy to gaslight yourself and be like, am I being over dramatic? Am I being it's really hard to kind of pull yourself out of like the rabbit hole that this pandemic has kind of forced us all into, especially in America. And of course, I have great days and I have bad days and I have so many in-between days. But something that happened recently, I had my birthday last week and I had so much fun. And I really shut off the world. I didn't read the news. I didn't go on Twitter. I didn't do anything. And I just like reveled in this fun that I was having and the connections that I have for the people that are, the like 4 or 5 people in my life. And I started asking other people, what's brought you joy recently, as opposed to how have you been doing? And it's actually been really fun just talking to people and being like, okay, what's something that brought you joy this week? And I think like reframing your narrative for yourself can be really helpful.
Of course. Of course, and just like you said, during this time, it's very, very, very incredibly difficult to, follow all the guidelines, going out to the grocery store, because, of course, that's a must, and putting on masks and wiping everything that you do, and then seeing people who are ripping off their masks or using this time to, still go to clubs, still go to things that are not at all necessary, and and the beach and everything, and I completely understand what you mean, and it's almost like it takes a toll on your emotions as well, because it's like you feel so like you're not, like nothing is being done, and then you're doing it, but no one else is doing it, and you have to suffer the consequences. And I completely understand what you mean. And while growing up, was there any time, because I know you said this last 7 years has been like your mental health journey, I don't know if that's okay with you, if you feel comfortable opening up about it, what was it like that you experienced, or, that really took a really hard hit on your life?
Yeah, so when I was 17, I booked my dream job. I was a series regular. I played the daughter on the Michael J. Fox show on NBC. And I moved to New York. I had to leave high school early. I finished high school, but I wasn't there with my friends. I didn't get to go to prom or graduation or whatever. And I was living my literal dream, like everything that I've worked so hard for, because I started working when I was 7. So, a decade in the making. And I was, for a lot of it, was the most unhappy that I'd ever been in my life. And I think that before that, I had this idea that if I get A, B, and C, then I'll be happy, right? Like putting like material or like tangible like results would equal happiness. And that just didn't work. And I had my first like experience with anxiety when I was about 17. I'm sure that I'd had it in middle school and high school, but like didn't have a word for it. But it was starting to interfere with my work. I started going to a therapist at that point, and I was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, depressive episodes. It was really, really bad. And it's so interesting because that lasted a few years. There were like a few years in there where I was medicated. I was on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication, and I'm like a big proponent of like no shame with medication, because we should treat it like we treat physical injuries or diseases as well, and you should treat a chemical imbalance. But it was really hard finding the right medicines. Finding people in your life that validated mental illness. And I remember like when I was in the thick of it, it truly felt like there was no escaping. Like it was completely insurmountable, completely out of my control. And, people would be like, calm down, or like, yeah, people get sad, get over it. And that was so unhelpful for me, because I had in my life the thing that I wanted, and yet my brain was not even letting me enjoy any of it. And So through a long journey of like just so much self-work, because I feel like we go to therapy if you're fortunate enough to find a therapist in your network, if you're fortunate enough to have insurance, if you're fortunate enough to be able to dial the phone, to call a therapist. I mean, it's not easy, especially in this country, to get good mental health care. And so if you can get through all of those hoops, there is a side, another side. Like, I just feel very, very lucky that I'm not in that space that I was, for probably from like 2013 to 2015 or 16. It was just, it was really hard and really bad. And, and sometimes I'll still have, depressive episodes, and I'll be like, oh God, this is the worst thing in the world. And it's really hard talking to people who don't understand it or who don't suffer from it. It can be super isolating, but just I think validating your own pain or, ailment is half the battle.
Of course. And I completely agree, because like you said, everything that you said, wonderful, trying to speak to someone who doesn't understand what you're going through, it's almost like talking to a wall, and it's very isolating. And also, I completely agree with, medication and doing something about your mental health, that will help it, but and not stigmatizing that as well. And it's really, shocking to see, because like we all watch people. I feel like almost everyone has social media, of course, and I always bring that up because I feel like it's like one of the most interfering mental health, affecting things in life today. And it's crazy because you see someone on social media, but you don't really know what's happening, or even watch someone on TV and you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And I wanted to ask you, when you were going through this, was there any time where like you felt like you had to put on a face, or like a fake mask, or felt like you had to fake how you were feeling, or or like you couldn't talk to someone, just like you said, or there was no one to talk to at all?
I mean, it was definitely hard when I was working 7 days, 5 days a week. That would have been illegal. It was hard having to work on a comedy, and I was depressed. And so I definitely feel like at work you have to put on a mask or whatever. And then like I had a boyfriend in the past who just didn't suffer from any of that. And it was so hard because it was like I wanted him to read my mind, but I couldn't verbalize what I needed from him. I think a huge thing in like helping yourself is naming what you need from a partner, or even from a friend or from a parent. Saying like, I think it's something that I've worked really hard on and I've gotten better at it, but like in the moment saying, I need you to tell me this. And even though, it's kind of manufactured because you asked for that in response, it's really healing. And it's also helpful for the person on the other side, because I know I've definitely had, my friends go through something that I can't relate, and just been like, shoot, what do I say? So having someone like be able to verbalize, like, I just need you to not say anything, or like, I don't want to get out of this place, I'm just naming that I'm in this place, is helpful. And I'm not answering your question at all. But I think I've been, fortunate enough to have at least like one friend or, one person in my life who I can vent to. And when I don't, I journal a lot. I think journaling is really, really helpful.
Of course, I love it, and it's therapeutic too. And also, you said that you had recently turned 25, and is that like a stepping stone for you, or like a new place to put yourself into? Because it was so recent. Was that something that was monumental for you?
Yeah, I was like, this show is called Teenage Mental Love. Like, am I even Yeah, I'm even allowed on him. But you know what? Here's what I think. I was dreading turning 25 because it sounds old. It sounds. It just felt. Yeah, I was dreading it, and I woke up at like 6 a.m. on my birthday, and I swear to God, I could have sobbed. I was like up for like an hour, just like lying in bed, like dreading it. Because I think that I'm in an industry and we're all in a culture that like fetishizes youth to a disturbing degree. It doesn't let women in particular age or femmes age. It tells you that like all your worth is, every year that you age, you lose value. And that's really damaging to, you can't stop aging, So I think that definitely like just culture, not one person in particular, made me feel like I'm not allowed to get older. But I was on a Zoom call on my birthday with like 10 of my closest friends, and my friend Hannah, because I kind of said, "Oh, this is horrible" or whatever. My friend Hannah, who I think they're in their early mid 30s, she was like, "Your 30s are amazing and incredible, and just like you're gonna look back at your 20s and cringe about everything that you went through." And so it was really awesome to hear from a couple of my friends who are older that they're like, "I'm having the best time in my 30s."
Yes.
And I've heard that before, but just from like, people I don't know. So it was helpful in that sense. And it was not monumental at all. I mean, I can rent a car now, which I haven't ever needed to do.
Yes.
But I'm trying to like embrace, it's still also very young. I probably sound absurd being like, but I think that we have just social media also is like filled with, middle school influencers who are like
TikTok, of course.
Yeah, like who do their makeup better than I ever could and all of that. And so I think that it's easy to feel like irrelevant, but I think everyone feels that way for one reason or another. When I was younger, I was like, ugh, I just want to be old,
Oh, yeah, of course. And I completely agree, because when you're younger, you say you want to be older because you have all those responsibilities. You can do whatever you want. And then when you're older, you want to turn back the time. And it's crazy because I feel like it goes back to what you said with happiness and that being a goal in life for a lot of people. How can we achieve happiness? And it's almost like we always want, like you said, A, B, C to be happy. So, sometimes we say being older will make us happy. And, we wait until we have that. And then when we get there, we're never even happy in that state.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with what you said. But, that's, again, so amazing, turning 25, being in the industry that you are in and still staying so strong throughout it. And I wanted to say, while you were growing up, in this industry, because I know, like, being in acting and singing and making albums and music, but also doing this from such a young age and growing up in an environment like that, it can be really impacting or influential on someone negatively and positively. And I wanted to say, while you were growing up, was there any times that, you felt like you were not, you felt like you were all alone or not important, or you felt like you really needed someone to help you because you felt like so many things were overwhelming for you, especially in that environment?
Honestly, I'm really fortunate to have really great parents. And so, I mean, my mom was on every set with me growing up, and I never felt unsupported. So I'm really, really fortunate that, like, my mom was, always by my side and was always able to, if there was something that was upsetting me on set, my mom could talk to the producers or whatever, and she kind of taught me as I grew up how to have my own voice.
Yes.
So in general, I never felt alone because of the business. I more felt isolated because I was working as a kid, and it was hard to be in because I stayed in public school. It was like very important to me to have a normal childhood, which I didn't have. So I don't know why I was like trying to do something that was just unattainable. But I stayed in public school, and I was never a part of any like friend group because I was always gone, and I was bullied a lot for acting. And yeah, so I definitely, the only places I felt alone were around people my own age, and I think that's because at such a young age I was constantly surrounded by adults, and so it was harder for me. I basically, until I was about 21 or 22, I didn't feel like I could connect to young people. I felt like I was just like the outsider in a group of everyone who was speaking a language that I didn't understand.
Yeah, of course, I completely understand. And when you said, like being bullied before you started acting, did that influence how you, viewed people who were your age? Because, being in school and experiencing something like that, that is really, really impactful and can, follow someone with throughout their entire life. And did that ever make you want to act even more, maybe like a safe space or like a place to express yourself, or even through like singing?
Honestly, I would say no. It really made me like dislike the part of myself that was outgoing and extroverted. And I think I worked very hard to shrink myself around peers, because I also tend to have like a bit of a, I don't think it's weird, but like a strange sense of humor. Like people can never tell when I'm joking, and I'm pretty much always joking. And so, I mean, not in this interview, but like in social settings, I'm always kind of joking, and I definitely felt like I should just shut up, because if if people didn't like my sense of humor or whatever growing up, I think growing up is so difficult for everyone. Definitely. And I've been rewatching or just watching the second season of this show, Pen 15. And it's just reminding me of all the horror of middle school. And like people are just awkward and mean and lost and confused. And it's so funny because when you get outside of it, no one cares. Like that's been one of the best parts about growing up, is that, like I got like a Facebook message in like May from this guy who bullied me in high school. And he messaged me and he was like, "Hey Juliette, I was hanging out with so-and-so from high school, and he brought up the fact that I was a jerk to you, and I just wanted to apologize." And he wrote me this like really nice long letter. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even care. like it's so okay. And I really appreciated this like accountability culture and reparation culture, because I think that that's where our society needs to move. But it was so interesting that I was like, you know what? Everyone sucked in middle and high school, because we all were so uncomfortable and didn't know how to fit in, and did things that like I would never do. Like, especially girls can be so combative and mean to each other. And now all of my friends are women or femmes, like I barely know men. And it's so funny because growing up I was just like so afraid of girls, and we were all just mean to each other. I don't even know what your question was.
No. It's
really just went off. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. And I love that. I love your story and everything. And it's so shocking to see, because it's almost like when you're in the moment of middle and high school, it's almost like all of that stuff is important. And then as soon as you leave, it all just disappears. And then you kind of look back and you say, I don't even remember when that happened, or when that person spoke to me, or what I said. And it's so weird to see, it's a part of growing up, of course, but it's just so weird to see everyone progress and be in that stage of being mean and hostile towards each other, but then growing up to, it's almost like no one even talks to each other anymore because everyone just went on
Yeah.
their own path, and that's good.
And
Okay.
not to, I don't want to minimize the like intensity of a situation when you're in it, because it is very real. And like when you're in the midst of drama or a friend breakup or whatever, it is your whole world. But I've even had experiences on social media where like I feel like, this comment on my post is gonna, explode, and I can't sleep because everyone's freaking out in the comments. And then like 2 days pass and I'm like, no one cares. Like something is so big to yourself, and then you get outside of it and you're like, okay, I cannot believe I spent all that energy on something so minuscule.
Of course, and I completely agree. And speaking of social media, do you feel like sometimes it can be like an environment that can breed toxicity and can be a place where everyone feels attacked, or like the hate on social media can sometimes be overwhelming too?
Yeah. Social media is horrifying. I think that it's really scary because it gives a lot of power, and I'm not saying anything, revelatory or whatever, but it gives a lot of power to people who have complete anonymity. And so it's really easy to, seem scary or impactful or, whatever. When you have a screen in front of you. I got this comment I posted this thing last week because it was Bisexual Visibility Day, and it was basically just like a TikTok trend that I had hopped on, and then I put it on my Instagram. And some random person commented that I was like a horrible person and that I need to see a psychiatrist, which was also like messed up for stigmatizing that, and that I have like narcissistic personality disorder and all this stuff. And it was literally on a post where I was like, let's be kind to bisexual people, essentially. And it upset me so much, and I deleted the comment and I blocked him. And I've never done that because I believe in like a free comment section, whatever. But I was like, you know what, this is my page and this is really harmful and negative and it hurts my feelings. I have feelings and they get hurt.
Definitely.
A lot from social media, especially on TikTok. I've had some weird stuff said about me, and like, I think it's just, it's scary that there's no filter system, that there's no checks and balances. And it's so funny because I think you can get like 10 amazingly sweet comments and one nasty comment. And I mean, I remember what people said about me on YouTube in 2010.
Definitely that can impact you.
And I don't think that the people who comment these things understand that the people that they're talking about might and probably will see it.
Definitely. That's so true.
Like, people don't think that people see comments, but I mean, I do. And it's really harmful to have, I don't know. I think that limiting social media intake is major in like having a healthy lifestyle.
Definitely. That is so true. And it's crazy because it's almost like social media has it like just skyrocketed out of nowhere, and everyone is on it. Everyone, and people they just comment. They don't even think that that there's a person behind the screen. They just watch this video, and it's almost like they think they're a robot or something, and they just comment this. And people have feelings, just like you said. People have bad days, and reading that one comment could just make someone feel even worse. And I completely understand what you mean. And when going through that, I know sometimes just ignoring them or deleting and blocking it. But is there anything else that you do, to tell yourself, or to strengthen how you feel, or make yourself feel stronger, or anything that you do to ignore those comments too?
So I have like a Finsta, which for if people don't know, which they probably do, because you guys are I have a Finsta that's like so small. It's like my 15 or 10 closest friends.
Yeah.
And I find that it's actually been so therapeutic for to have like control over my social media, post things that I love, post things that are funny, post, really ugly photos of myself,
Yeah.
post, drama. Like it's so funny because I think social media can have two sides to it. Like my public Instagram, I'll obsess over, how my jawline looks in a photo or something. And then on my Finsta, I can just like, what I do is I take the mean comments and I'll put it on my Finsta. And I'll be like, okay, look at this person going off. And then having like support in my friends, from my friends being like, that person is a weird, like that person has no mind.
Oh, definitely,
yeah. Anything I can do to like minimize the situation. Like when I had a TikTok go viral and I was really freaking out about the comment section, and like I called one of my best friends and we talked on the phone for 30 minutes and just like venting about it was really helpful, and then it meant a lot less to me.
That's amazing. And you see, like, having those people by your side. I love how you always say, your 10 to 15 friends, who are always there for you. And, I feel like that's so important in today, too.
I don't have 10 to 15 friends who are always there for me. That would be so many. I have, especially during a pandemic, I probably talk to like 4 or 5 people.
Oh.
But, my Finsta is just like people that will be there for that. But I think I don't want to make anyone feel like they don't have enough friends, because friends are hard.
Of course, they definitely are. But it's still so amazing because like a lot of people, they don't have that, and they go through a lot of things by themselves, and it can make things so much harder, especially when you don't have someone to vent to, or if you like, this is so random, but living by yourself and having no one there for you, or having no one by your side, it can be so impactful and overwhelming. And speaking of social media, toxicity, everything, do you ever feel that singing and acting, it can be like an escape for you in certain aspects, of course, but like it can really help you say what you feel?
Writing music, 100%. I am currently working on a song right now that hopefully will be out within a month or so.
Yeah.
And I basically, like I said, I really love journaling. Yeah. I think there's so much power in writing things down. Even just clearing your brain, just to get thoughts, out of your head. But basically, I hadn't journaled in a while. I hadn't written in a while. This was like July. Everything's awful. And I woke up at 6 a.m., which I've mentioned that twice, but I don't wake up that early. So this was a rare occasion. I woke up at 6 a.m. and I had this lyric in my head that kept replaying, and it basically took me out of bed, and I journaled for, 15 minutes, and then from that I spent an hour and a half when I wrote this song.
Yes. And
it was one of the most healing, exhausting, but replenishing experiences of my life, because that's what I love about music. Acting, I'm playing someone else, and I get so much joy out of that and out of creating a character and becoming someone else. But with my music and my writing, it's my personal diary and my journal put to music. And it's literally, it sounds so corny, but it really is a form of therapy for me, because then I have it, and it's a capsule of this moment in my life,
of course,
put to music. And the best part is when maybe someone hears it and agrees or relates or it resonates, and that makes it all worth it. Is if I can write a song, put it out there, and it helps one person feel seen, then I'm okay, cool, I love that, and that I get a lot of joy. I get a lot of joy from that.
Of course, and that is amazing. And I feel also, having people sing your music, or having a community of people who are there for you or say, wow, your music has touched me in so many ways. I feel like that's so wonderful, and I feel like that can really help someone, when they're to continue making music and feel inspired as well. Because I told you before, but I do love your song Battleground so, so much. And I wanted to say that it was so inspirational and impacting. And I wanted to ask you, what was like the story behind why you created that song, and what really inspired you to say, like, wow, I need to make this, and this is something that I really need to record.
Totally. So the Me Too movement had just happened, and I think it was a big wake up call for a lot of folks, not just men, being called out or whatever, but really women and femmes realizing that they are valid in their pain. And the stuff that we put up with actually just shouldn't be happening.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah, and so like I had always, been interested in feminism. Well, not always. I think I got interested in feminism when I was probably like, 17. And I say that, and it sounds so late, but without social media, like I do think there's some good stuff about social media, because I didn't have it growing up, so I didn't know about all this stuff that like now there's 9-year-olds like writing theses on feminism. But it was in like 2013. The Me Too movement didn't happen until 2017.
Yes.
And it kind of shook everyone's world. And I remember being like, you know what, I want to say something about this. And so then I met up with my friend Haley, who I had met at school. And basically what I wanted to say was like, men, if I'm going to be binary, let's say men, you need to listen. Because it's actually not my issue. It's your issue to solve. You need to work on dismantling patriarchy, and furthermore cis heteropatriarchy, and that's your job as men, because you guys benefit from this system, but the system also really hurts you. And if you could step outside of that, you could realize that you actually have a stake in burning it to the ground. And so that song was kind of like being like, hey, do you realize what I go through on a day-to-day basis? And you need to believe me, you need to listen. And we see that with a lot of different movements, especially right now with the current uprising, that it's white people's job to dismantle white supremacy. And so it's like, it's our issue, so it's not going to get fixed until we realize that the system also hurts everyone under this white supremacy culture, and we have a stake in burning it to the ground. But we have to listen. So that was what I was going for with that song. At that time. And I think it's so, I think it's so weird because it feels like forever ago, but I think it still would resonate with me.
Definitely, yeah.
It's not that much has changed.
Yeah, I mean, that's, a little bit. Yeah,
and that's for it now, but I still, don't feel safe. So.
I know, me too. And I wanted to also, add on to what you said. Like, it's kind of sad, but it's kind of interesting because it's still relevant to today, but it's also kind of sad to think about that, because like 2017, we're about to hit 2021, and the fact that not much has changed. It's still a movement, still people who need to be, convicted, and so many things, so many stuff. And it's just really sad that, that has to happen, that people even need to go to the point where they have to talk about it. It should already be common sense, but it's wonderful that you made that song, especially to relate to something so important in life. And I love that so much. And I lastly wanted to say, do you have any advice for anyone out there who's struggling, with mental health during this time, anxiety, or, going through something and they feel like they have no one to talk to? Do you have any advice for them to, stay strong or push through this time?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I would say get off your phone. Put your phone bury it.
Yes.
Get off your phone. I have been my happiest when I'm nowhere near my phone. So, there's a flip side to social media. It's a great way to connect to people, but it also can be so alienating. So, I would say, find the little things that bring you joy in the moment, whether that's like watching your favorite TV show or just being outside, before it gets too cold out. Being an animal, my dog would bring me so much joy. And trying to pan out and think about the big picture. Because things that feel so big to us can actually be so small in the scheme of things. And I hate to say it, but if we constantly look for our worth and our validation from people outside of us, that hasn't worked for me, because this sounds depressing, but I think people can really not know how to show up for you a lot of the time.
Definitely.
And that's no fault of their own. They just might not know what you need. Only you know what you need.
Yeah.
So you have to be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself. My therapist says be compassionate with yourself, which I think is really lovely. And just know that you will get through it. And then it might happen again, and then you'll get through it again. And every time you get stronger and stronger. And as long as you have a great relationship to yourself, then that's all you can really ask for. And, finding your own joy.
Definitely. And again, I love that so much. And your advice was wonderful. Everything that you said. And I feel like almost in, life, like a lot of people, almost everyone probably, they go through so many things. And I love, I really want to say this, highlight what you said about, being away from your phone, because it's weird, because almost like, again, so weird, but when you're like little and you don't have your phone, it's almost like you want to go back to that time, because I honestly think that's when I was the happiest, because just carefree, running around outside, not even knowing there was such anything named social media. And it's crazy that now, because I'm still 17, so I'm pretty young, but now like people who are 13, 12, 11, 10, 9 have social media. And it's crazy because I didn't even know what social media was until I was like 10 years old. So I completely understand what you mean. And honestly, anyone who's watching this, I just hope you all know that, again, vary your phone sometimes. Sometimes it's good to stay away from social media, get into an environment that is just, natural, nature, watching your favorite show, just like Juliette said. And another thing is also, doing something that makes you happy, even though, finding happiness is a long journey, but, doing something that at least makes you happier. And another thing is, just know that you're not alone. Even though it may feel like that continuously, and even though you may go through something and then it happens again and it feels like you took 10 steps forward and like 50 backwards, you're not alone, and that you can get through everything, and you'll be stronger, you'll be, you'll know so much more, and you'll be more educated. And it's hard sometimes, but you're not alone. And again, thank you so much, Juliette, for everything that you said. It was wonderful. And I really hope that everyone who watched this, you all enjoyed this. And I will link all of her social media down below, her YouTube channel, her music. It's all amazing and wonderful. And again, I hope you enjoy it and have a wonderful day.